these things always look like Madeleine Albright?
There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there for the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Well, hello, folks. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, and this is just a little catch-up. Yeah, I used to call these informal chit-chats this and that. So this is kind of a this and that. I'm going to answer a few questions that popped up and give you some updates on a few of my recent purchases. And if I'm in the mood at the end of this video, a sneak peek on Christmas in July Part 3. Welcome, I hope you're all doing well. Cool off, all my friends out in the West. We had heat waves here in the Northeast, and of course those are over with. We've had lovely weather, but it sure has been hot out there in the Midwest, and so I hope you guys have a electric fan which oscillates in a nice cold glass of something. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to do is thank a couple of subscribers who saw me thrift this fox yesterday, in yesterday's video. And when I saw him in the display cabinet, I recognized him as what I thought was quality, good design. But the maker was unknown to me, and I learned something new because a couple of viewers actually wrote in and told me a little bit about him, so or her. So we'll turn him around and let you see. I'm holding him here by the negative space, which makes it difficult for you to really appreciate. And I just love how anyone who owns a cat, I shouldn't say own a cat. Anyone who lives with a cat or a dog, you know how they scratch behind their ears like that, which is what he's doing. And when I saw him in the cabinet, I knew he wasn't Japanese. I thought maybe Czechoslovakia. Well, I was wrong, but he's actually made in Hungary. And the part of Hungary where he is made is actually just south of what is now Slovakia, but what would have been Czechoslovakia. And the town is called Holaháza. I wrote it down. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I have a lot of Eastern European blood, but I don't speak Hungarian. So Holaháza is a, we can see that on the bottom. Do you see it? And it's a village in northeastern Hungary, just below the border of what is now Slovakia, I think, with the Czech Republic just to the west. And he's not marked on the bottom, but he's probably made in a factory. But there it is, and it's spelled Z-S-O-L-N-A-Y, and I had to do Google Translate to get her to pronounce it, and the Google Translate lady pronounces it Chonai. So I'm going just to use my New Jersey accent and say it's Chonai, Hungary, our Chonai factory in Holaháza, the little village which is known for porcelain. And so he's very much in the Art Deco style. And he's most certainly pre-war. He was marked $12, but if you remember, I got a whole bunch of stuff and only paid $20 for the whole lot that I got yesterday, or that you saw in yesterday's video. And a couple of people asked if I'm going to sell him. No, Fox is actually a family name in my family, a surname, and though I'm not a big collector of foxes, I look for ones that I like, that are quality, and he's tiny and he's Art Deco, so I'm going to keep a hold of him because I like him a lot. Now, someone else saw me with all these old Christmas lights and they said, it looks so dangerous. Can you actually use those old Christmas lights? Well, the answer is yes. Now, hold on before you jump on the comments. I actually should say yes and no. And it's a very good question, and I'm so glad that the question was asked. In the bag that I bought, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were actually 8 individual strings of lights. I'm going to start showing you them in a minute. And a whole bunch of C6 light bulbs and others. Here are some. The C6 light bulbs are the old-fashioned ones that look like flames. And these were in use from the 1930s into the 50s. Just paying $20 for these Christmas lights alone is worth it because they don't make these C6 bulbs anymore. And if you have vintage Christmas from the 30s, 40s, 50s, or you're an old train set person, you gotta have the C6 light bulbs, and I love them. When they burn out, I save them and I put them in a candy dish. So let's talk about, can you use them or not? I'm going to show you 3 strings of lights that I absolutely would not use. And I'm going to show you 1 string of light which is perfectly safe to use even though it's 50, 60 years old, some of them 70 years old. They're okay to use under certain circumstances. Now this one right here, no. The reason why is because that's not an original plug to a vintage Christmas light set. Now, you would probably only know that from experience, but I'll just tell you that someone put that on there. And as we discovered closely, they made a marriage of 2 different strings of lights. Look at the sockets. You'll note that the Bakelite sockets are not the same. When strings of lights were made, these sockets would have all been the same, come out of the same mold, the same pattern. And I don't know but whether or not you can see, this one is a little more Art Deco than this one, but they are 2 different sockets. Don't worry about the red and the green strings, that's okay. But they've actually spliced, they've taken 2 different strings, connected it to this sort of vacuum cleaner plug. And then I've actually cut this off because it had that sticky electrical tape all over it. They just spliced this together and then twisted electrical tape over it. No, 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 no. Now, still, I'm not throwing this out, and you shouldn't either, because this is perfect for electric train set people. What we do is, I would take a socket like this, which is perfectly fine, put a C6 bulb in it, you see, and then just cut this, and then you can connect this to your train track and light up your vintage train set. So there are lots of things you can still do with these without throwing them out. But that's an instance where don't use it. Please don't use it. Oh, I'll just leave this up here. This one is a hot mess. And this unit right here, we can see, I'm going to read this to you, or try to anyway. It is a decorative lighting outfit for indoor use only, and this is Paramount. Okay, Paramount. They were a large producer of Christmas lights as well. There's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't use this one, but let's begin with the fact that it has a dead end where someone has cut off. If you plug this in, that's going to be live, or hot, as we say. Here we have some that are spliced together. Not good. Here is another bit that has been either cut and spliced together. They didn't even use electrical tape. That's just the tan masking tape that's got dirt all over it. And then still we have another repair where they've actually used, these are the little, you screw, you take the wire and you twist it together, and these are the caps that you screw on. Look how easily that came off. That is a fire waiting to happen. I'm not throwing it away because I have a wonderful plug that I can recycle. And I can recycle the sockets and the wire. There's lots that I can do with that. So I'm keeping it. Where's the other bad guy? Now, sadly, well, now this one I would use, but I would tell you not to use it. That wasn't very nice. There's nothing wrong with the actual wire. Now, what we want to do is, if the wire is supple, if you can bend it and it doesn't crack, it doesn't flake off. If you bend it and it flakes off, forget it. You can't, there's nothing you can do with it, get rid of it. But this wire is fine. It's pliable, it's supple, the covering on here is okay, no problem. The plug is good, there are no cracks on this Bakelite, but you want to examine each one of the Bakelite sockets, because what happens is Bakelite will break, or other forms of plastic. And one of these, and I will find it because, okay. Good socket. Bad socket. Now, come on now. Now, I want you to see that part of the Bakelite has broken off on the side of that socket, and on the inside we see the actual metal. That's going to be hot. In other words, stick your finger in it, zzz, new hairdo. So even with the light bulb in it, that's still a little too close for comfort with the side of that Bakelite socket being broken off. Now, well, so don't use this because there is damage. I'm going to be able to recycle it. So here's one that's perfectly fine, absolutely okay to use, and I was able to salvage several of these. Very excited because they are the older ones, the Noma ones with the wooden beads. And if I remember right, it is the Noma company that patented these wooden beads. And I told you in yesterday's video what that wooden bead is for. So we can see here, and I've checked, all of the sockets are good. None of them are cracked. The wire, bendable, supple. Nothing's breaking off. We've got a good socket. And we have the cardboard piece. You want to make sure that's there. Those fall off. This is just a cardboard circle that keeps anyone from touching the line cord, which is screwed into the two terminals. So that's there. It's wonderful to have an original Noma tag on there, which says, for indoor use only, string number C, Xmas Decorative Lighting Unit by the Noma Company. I'd like you to see that if it focuses for me. I'm spilling light bulbs all over the place. Can you see that? Maybe you can. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this string of lights. Now, I'm old enough to remember, just barely, but I am old enough to remember that these old lights are not on a continuous circuit. In other words, and you old timers already know what happens when one burns out, the whole blasted string goes out. And there's nothing more horrific than if two light bulbs are burnt out. Because if one is burnt out, you just take a good light bulb and you go and you test each one. But if you've got two light bulbs burnt out, it's like putting a blindfold on and trying to do a Rubik's Cube. It's a nightmare. Excuse me, I got all choked up there. And some of you say, Scott, why bother? Go out and get new ones. Well, maybe I'm weird. Well, I am weird. There's something about sitting on the floor in the middle of a bunch of tangled Christmas lights, trying to figure out which light bulb is burnt out and which one is not. I have memories of my father and both of my grandfathers. That was their job. They would confidently approach the bag of Christmas lights and untangle them and try to figure out which light bulb went where. So it's kind of just a Christmas ritual to get them all set up, and then one burns out, and then you spend an hour trying to figure out which light bulb will actually work. By the way, the pink ones are somewhat hard to find. And these came along near the end of the run of the C6s. Now, am I talking way too much about these lights? We're already like 15 minutes into this video, and some of you have already turned me off, I'm sure. I do have a couple more things to tell you. Don't leave them plugged in for long. Leave them plugged in for 15 minutes. Unplug them, let them cool. Plug them back in. These light bulbs get hot, and I mean hot. I would not use these on a live tree. We did back in the day, but you had to make sure your tree didn't get too dry. I would not use these inside of the little cardboard putz houses. You can, but again, to use them safely, don't plug them in and then go shopping. Or, go to church or go to Aunt Fanny's house for the weekend and leave them plugged in. Stay around them when they're plugged in. Unplug them, give them a rest, but you can actually still use these wonderful old lights. I would just do it responsibly. And if you're not comfortable, then please, by all means, don't use them. But I just wanted to answer that question and sort of just talk a little bit about them and why I purchased them. There's value in these old strings of lights. Old Christmas, we love it, and we sure do collect it. This guy that you saw, I paid $5 for it, having no idea whether it worked or not. And it had a 20-foot long, very modern line cord on it, which I replaced with a much shorter cord. But excuse me. Anyway, I'm happy to say that the Art Deco clock is humming and keeping absolutely perfect time. I love this thing. I didn't really get to the inside to clean the glass, but it's in really good shape. I think there are some scratches here in the Bakelite. I'm going to be able to sort of buff that and polish that out. So I haven't done anything cosmetically to it, but a little fine tuning, a little blowing the dust off, a little oil, a new line cord, and this wonderful Bakelite clock, which is going to date to the late 30s to the mid 40s. We see a lot of radios in this brown sort of mottled Bakelite. So my $5 investment paid off because it's in really good condition. I'll probably keep it value-wise. It might sell for 30 bucks. It's just one of those things, doesn't really have a great deal of value, but it is from my favorite era, the 30s. A lot of people were concerned that this punch bowl and punch stand didn't go together, that they were not a match. And what you were seeing in the car was the sunlight, which was able to shine into the top of the bowl and sort of illuminate it, giving it kind of a yellowish look, but the light was not coming through to the base below. So I assure you that this Anchor Hocking sandwich punch bowl, which we can see the sandwich pattern, and this is the absolute matching base made by Anchor Hocking to the punch bowl. And it was designed this way. It sits right on there like that, and they are matching pieces of glass. So fret not about that. Now, for those who like to do research, and I know a lot of you do, a few weeks ago, I showed you this wonderful amber mug, which I thrifted from somewhere and I can't remember where. And there was only one. I really liked it, so I bought it thinking that it's probably made by one of the better glass companies, and I think it dates to right around 1930. When I say that, I really mean 1926 to 1936, something like that. When we think of Depression, when we think of glass before the Depression era, most table glass was crystal. There are exceptions. But for years and years and years and years, 50 years or so, EAPG, American pressed glass, early American pressed glass, is mostly crystal. And when we say Depression glass, we often think that the colored glass didn't come into popularity until the Depression, which we know began in October of 1929. But the better glass companies were making colored glass in the late 20s, 1926, 27, 28. There was a huge trend towards colored glassware. So when you say Depression glass, you can actually dip back into the 1920s by a few years. Having said all of that, I forgot to tell you, and one of the viewers saw this, and I hope you're going to be able to see it. It says right here on the bottom of the glass, and I knew this, but I forgot to tell you. It says Jacobean, and then R-E-C, I think, and then the letter D. I'll let you, you're probably not going to be able to see it, which is annoying, but do you see right there? You'll have to trust me, it's the word Jacobean. Now we know Jacobean, of course, is a period in English history, but it's also, when we talk about Jacobean furniture with those big bulbous legs, and there was a lot of Jacobean furniture being made in the 1920s and into the early 30s. The dining room furniture and the pub tables and chairs and things all had that Jacobean style. So it was popular in the 20s and early 30s in the U.S. I haven't found anything on this yet. I kind of searched around for 5 or 10 minutes and couldn't find anything. So if anybody isn't doing anything, you're sitting around staring at the wall, can you find out who made this wonderful mug? And that's all that's on it. But I have a feeling it's definitely one of the better glass companies. I always end up reciting all the names, or some of the names, of the companies that could have made it. Tiffin and Duncan Miller and Cambridge and Fostoria and New Martinsville and Paden City and all those. Several more. Can you find anything out about that? I'd love to know. Now, I said I would do a sneak peek of Christmas in July. This video is 23 minutes long, so I'm just very quickly going to show you one or two of the items that are coming up in the next Christmas Christmas in July, and here they are. This is a shelf sitter whose little legs have fallen out of his. He makes a googly noise, and he's covered in satin. Anyway, his little legs are supposed to be up here tucked under his arms, and he's just being very disagreeable with me today. So, but you already know the way he's supposed to be. And he is a Japan, and he's in a very, very fancy silk outfit. All right, here is one that's adorable in his little polka dot pajamas, and he's undoubtedly Japan. And then here's another one who's, none of them want to have their legs. Come on now. Come here, Salem, you want to be in the movie? Salem, come here. Come here, they want to see you, you old man. I was playing with your cousin yesterday. I don't like the look of that one eye. Maybe his eye fell off and it's in the box somewhere. I'll have to look. Come here. Come on. They want to see what a 19-year-old cat looks like. Oh, he looks like an old man. Here he is. No, don't. All right. All right, put your, right there. Look up here. Come on. Up here. There you go. They want to see you. All right. So, yeah, he's 19, and he's doing pretty well for an old guy. So you got to see 3 pieces of vintage Christmas. I have a whole tub of it sitting right here on the floor, and I'm going to be taking pictures and getting it up real soon. Now, if you ordered any Christmas in July from me, all of those packages, it's all wrapped. It's all, the shipping labels are on it, and all of that stuff is going out in the mail Monday morning. I apologize, I am about 2 days behind, and so I am getting all caught up on that. So the vintage Christmas is on its way if you purchased some, and I thank you. All right, let's cut this video off. Thanks for watching and listening to me ramble on and on. I enjoy spending time with you, and I'm so thrilled that you were able to watch. And if you have any idea about this, I'd love to know. Or what are your own memories with these old Christmas lights? Did you get the whole Christmas tree decorated and then one light bulb burn out and the whole house went dark? I know the feeling. Okay, I'm done. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching and so long for now.